For generations, the path to African American financial success was structurally funneled through two specific arenas: athletics and entertainment. These industries operate on a specific set of mechanics. They offer high compensation for immense talent, creating a visible tier of success that masks a lack of real corporate leverage. The financial reality is often a trap. You can generate billions for a network or a brand while remaining an asset on someone else's ledger, rather than owning the ledger itself. A small group of business titans recognized this ceiling early on. They shifted their focus away from simply earning a seat at the table and toward acquiring the building the table sits in. Building multi-billion-dollar generational power requires this definitive structural transition from celebrated labor to absolute ownership. The first stage of this transition begins with the refusal of the standard flat fee contract. In 1984, Michael Jordan moved beyond a typical endorsement. He secured a continuous equity royalty on shoe sales, ensuring he would profit from every pair sold under his name for decades. Oprah Winfrey executed a similar strategy in broadcast media. She recognized the massive underlying value of her syndication viewership and leveraged it for total autonomy. By negotiating ownership of her master tapes and her physical production studios, she moved from a paid host to a media sovereign with complete control over her library. Tyler Perry took this logic to its furthest conclusion. He rejected the Hollywood studio system by self-funding his early content, allowing him to retain 100% of his copyrights. That uncompromising grip on his intellectual property eventually allowed him to construct a 330-acre physical studio lot, creating total operational self-sufficiency. Controlling intellectual property is the prerequisite for an independent empire. It permanently severs the reliance on traditional corporate gatekeepers. The next phase involves systematically leveraging cultural influence to extract corporate equity. In 2004, Curtis Jackson demanded a direct equity stake in Vitamin Waters' parent company in exchange for a custom flavor, trading his marketing reach for a piece of the business. When Coca-Cola acquired the brand for $4 billion, that celebrity endorsement converted into an estimated $100 million equity payout. Magic Johnson applied a similar mindset to physical assets. He identified the massive, ignored purchasing power of urban communities and brought corporate infrastructure into underserved markets. He built a joint venture with Starbucks to prove urban retail was viable, then liquidated those interests to acquire institutional sports franchises and large-scale infrastructure projects. Cultural capital is a depreciating asset. It only holds long-term value when it is traded for permanent corporate equity and physical development. The final, quietest phase operates entirely outside the realm of fame, focusing on the essential physical and digital plumbing of the economy. Robert F. Smith manages roughly $100 billion in assets by targeting enterprise software, the data systems that large corporations rely on for daily operations. By implementing a standardized operational playbook, he turns undervalued software acquisitions into high-performing corporate engines. Adebayo Ogunlesi left investment banking to directly acquire the physical monopolies of global commerce. His firm owns international airports, seaport terminals, and energy grids, assets that bypass brand awareness to control the movement of global goods and services. Kevin Cohey targeted the financial sector, using the acquisition of physical banks to dictate capital flow and commercial loan origination within urban markets. Economic sovereignty lies in owning the invisible, critical systems that corporate America relies on to function. These titans share a common trajectory: the complete transition from a high-value individual to an institutional entity. Fame is transient, but absolute dominion over intellectual property, equity, and physical infrastructure is permanent. Ultimately, the most powerful individuals do not rely on external corporate ecosystems. They build and own their own. Generational power requires relentlessly working to own the systems that monetize labor. True wealth is structural.